You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's your friends at Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
How about that Super Bowl? Wow, what a game.
So exciting.
Excellent game.
What a blowout.
What was your favorite commercial?
Oh, man.
The one about the trucks or the one about the beer?
It was the quarter time show with Little Dicky. That's a thing that's going to be after the first quarter. So,
Oh,
Really?
nice.
Really? You mean was after the first quarter?
yeah,
In the past.
Yeah,
Yeah, it happened.
I couldn't hold the illusion.
Is it is it going to be on FX or what are we doing with?
I don't know. I don't know. I just saw it cross my Twitter feed.
I did not understand how all the playoffs were all on CBS and Fox and the Super Bowl's on NBC. It's like, what is he?
Yeah, it rotates.
I don't know. I'm just glad it's on something I can buy the
Yeah,
app.
it's
But
not
I
a-
can get Peacock for a month and watch Super Bowl now.
Well, I'm actually I'm working.
Super Bowl Sunday? Yowza.
Yep. And
I mean, President's Day weekend.
right, President's Day weekend. Yeah, for some reason we're
Who's
open.
going to be buying mattresses that you?
Oh,
gotta do
it gets
there?
better. It gets better.
Well, what if there's a big like $1 million commercial buy-in that you had and everyone
Oh.
rushes out and leave? The game's such a blowout. Everybody
I'll
rushes
be-
out to the.
I'll be sitting there waiting.
Wow.
Nice. That's about stupid. Just go
Yeah.
home. Nobody is
Yeah.
going to know if you lock the doors at 6 and go home watch the Super Bowl.
It's the silliest thing ever. So yeah, I was off all last weekend and got Friday and Saturday off this week, but working Super Bowl Sunday, so go figure.
You'll be home by halftime.
So
We're recording this a few days before the big game. I'm rooting for the Bengals. I don't have a dog in the fight, so
Yeah.
we're Ohio boys. Go Bengals, go Joe Burrow. That's delightful.
Sure.
I'm very happy for Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Local guy. Watched him play in high school. He was amazing. But bottom line,
But
I can't do it. I cannot root for the Bengals. I cannot root for the Steelers. I cannot root for the Ravens in any situation.
I totally feel what you're saying. The Steelers and the Ravens are a totally different story to me.
Yeah, I can understand the Steelers. Yeah.
That the Steelers and Ravens, no way at all ever.
Yeah.
But the Bengals, I hold differently. They're like the other good guys that I just don't. They're not my good guys.
I don't hold the hate for Cincinnati that I hold for Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but I just can't bring myself to do it. So I'm very happy for Joe Burrow and I wish him the best. But
I'm going to be selling mattresses.
yeah. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to be selling mattresses.
So mostly Reds fans are also Bengals fans. If you're a Cincinnati fan, you're same as Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know, every team in Cleveland. So I don't know. The football gene skipped me. I liked it as a kid, and I say one of my strongest memories of football of all time is that game in 1991 against the Bengals where Bo Jackson got his hip ripped out. And I remember watching that and seeing him fall and be like, get up, Bo, get up. I loved Bo Jackson so much. I was like, that didn't look too bad. He'll be fine, right? and he never played again. So I should have some animosity against the Bengals. They wrecked my favorite player. But.
Yeah, because your brothers are both big Raider fans.
Yeah. For some reason, we got
how'd that happen?
Full of Raiders fans. I'm not entirely sure.
The real big game this weekend is Dragon Age.
Ooh.
It's a Dragon Age tomorrow. They I can spoil it now because they'll have already played
they won't
it by
know.
the time
they don't. Do they even listen?
They'll have played it by the time that they would even hear this. But they had been in that one town and the dragon attacked, and the bad guy designed a trap to help him catch the dragon, and so they had to let him go. Well, they're returning to that town this week, and they don't know it, but that guy wants to get revenge on them, and he is going to attack while they're there. And I'm going to send you two a picture. And anyone who wants to see these shots, just go to our Facebook page. I'll post them after the fact. But I have one pre-shot here. Show when these guys walk in after they hear, I'm going to blast a big explosion through the speakers and then make them leave the room while I put this setup in. But try to send this to you. I'm proud of this one. This will set up. I'm getting better and better at this, I think. So this is what they're going to walk into. I'm going to say that building that the dragon had demolished, they rebuilt. They're going to show back up, and you can't see the pic.
Wow. Is that looks like cotton balls or what?
It's like it's like polyfill, like you would put in a pillow or something, with LEDs underneath it and stuff, and spray paint.
So, are we going to get a little return of the Clint Clattenburg?
Oh, he's with him, man.
Oh,
he's with him.
That's all I need.
It's gonna be
Clint Clattenburg started the fire.
Yeah. So, I think they'll like that. They walk in the room, they're like, "What the hell?" Fun times.
I like that you make them leave the room. Like,
I have pocket doors, so like we set a table, and then whenever we get to a point where they have gotten in a fight or something, I have the whatever setups like at the top of the stairs to the basement behind that pocket door, and then I make them go out in the living room, shut the pocket door to the kitchen, set it all up, let them back in.
Because when you said that, I was picturing them all standing in the bathroom together, like huddled up.
I just slide the door shut, and they didn't let them come back in.
Go mingle around in the front yard. I'll be back.
Yeah. Oh.
Speaking of not knowing what's going on and being a big mess that needs better writers, is that a good segue?
Sure.
We're going to talk the finale, last 2 episodes, Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, we didn't talk about the penultimate episode.
We are 2 behind. For some reason, it was 7 episodes, an odd number.
Yeah.
That's good timing for us. Just wrapped up this week, so we're going to spoil Book of Boba Fett if you haven't checked that out yet on Disney Plus. So episode 6 was the big one, directed by Dave Filoni.
Mm-hmm. We knew it was going to be big when they announced Filoni was behind that one. So
we had just had an episode all about kind of a side quest of the Mandalorian. We're like, okay, now back to Boba Fett, and we weren't quite there yet. We still had some other history to dig through.
So this was the one where he leaves off and he says he's going to go. He has to go see a little friend or something of that nature, and then that we immediately
to my little friend.
we pick it up and he's coming across a planet side, and immediately you get that little antenna that raising a beacon to him, bringing him in, and
only mean one thing.
Yeah, old R2D2, and I was pretty excited because I think everybody that would watch the show immediately knew who that was and what was happening, and there was a good chance immediately that we were going to see some people, and we get some ant bots and building a new Jedi school. And
so am I correct? This is the school that will later factor in with the whole thing with Kylo Ren and all the students, and so Luke doesn't have like a bunch of students yet. This like Grogu would have been his first. Is that the idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yep.
So R2 shuts down. We'll throw back to the Force Awakens, and those ant bots build him a bench. Mando has a little seat, takes a little nap, wakes up, and
I can respect R2 if he doesn't want to deal with something. He just goes into sleep mode.
It's just like he's a patient Mandalorian, because I'd have been like, whatever, I'm blasting you. You ignoring me. You could have stayed awake 2 more seconds.
Yeah. So and Din Djarin has a history not liking droids anyways, but even waves his hand in front of there, and he's like, wake up, what are you doing? And then he wakes up, and we see Ahsoka.
I didn't expect to see you here.
I'm an old friend of the family.
I thought you weren't going to help train Grogu.
I'm not. Master Luke is.
Then what are you doing here?
That's my question for you.
I'm here to see the kid.
That's why R2 brought you to me instead.
Yeah.
And they have a little conversation, which was neat. It's nice to see her
trying
back.
to discourage him from engaging with Grogu. He's gonna miss him.
I thought Rosario Dawson did a really nice acting job. To have a new actress playing such an established character from the Clone Wars, in animated form. So even though we got some of her last year, I mean, she looked the part, but I thought in this episode she really kind of had the mannerisms and the attitude and the way of speaking was much closer to the animated,
I did not have any kind of hang up even last year. I remember people talking about this last year, like they're so hung up on that voice actress. I was like, I watched that whole series and I could care less. I mean, just like, give me a break.
Well,
it's not, what is this attachment to this voice actress? It's like, she was fine.
Yeah,
she wasn't a goddess of voice acting. Come on.
The attachment is not, Jedi should not have attachment.
Exactly.
That's true.
It's like, we're going live action now. Don't worry about her. That girl couldn't be that.
She would tell you she's not a Jedi. No, I think the fans just, they've over the years grown attached to her because she is a fan, because she went off and started, a clothing line featuring tons of Star Wars, high quality Star Wars merch. And she has kept the interaction up with the fans through the Disney parks. Seth and I, whether he probably doesn't remember, but I have a picture where we saw her in a parade, way back in 2009 when she first was doing it. And she's just, she shows up at lightsaber meets in Galaxy's Edge, and she just interacts with them. So they naturally, they feel part of they have attachment to her because they feel part of the club with her. So.
But it's like, there's not in a million years she could play this character live action. So it's just like,
not today.
It's like Rosario Dawson looks the part, does of course she's a good actress.
Yeah, she did.
I thought
she was very good.
mean, she still sounds like Rosario Dawson to me, so I don't know what the hell any mannerisms or anything. She's just being
the way what I mean was the way she stood, she kind of, crossing the arms or putting an arm on a hip, or there was the posing a lot. Looked very familiar.
And that could be
rolling
Filoni,
of the eyes.
That could be Filoni behind the camera.
Right.
Those touches.
So, anyways,
she's good.
She was good.
Are her and Luke doing it?
I don't know.
That'd be weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she hung out with his dad a lot, but
right. Yeah, it'd be weird. But
Luke looked great. He looked a million times better than he did last year at the end of Mandalorian season 2. Looked great.
Yeah, it was definitely an improvement visually.
Yeah, there's still a little in the voice, matching the voice up to the mouth a little bit here and there, and still, I know it's Mark Hamill's voice, but there still are little parts where I'm like, it just doesn't sound quite right.
Well, it's not. It is, but it's not. I found out it's not. Like, he did nothing for this. They made that voice entirely from his old recordings.
So he didn't record anything for
no,
it.
He didn't record anything. Okay. This is all a synthesized voice they made from old stuff of him. It's like, geez, the guy's alive,
Right,
and,
that's so weird.
And a seasoned voice actor.
Exactly. Like, he is known for being a great voice actor.
So, like, why have him on there sounding weird when the option would be there?
I unless they're just like, he ain't gonna be around forever. Let's start getting practice now.
But I thought,
because we're gonna use him forever.
Yeah, we can now. I did see it was a different stand-in for him than last year. I know the guy that played him last year, the double for him was one of the X-Wing pilots there a few episodes ago, but I guess for this episode,
did the fans send him death threats and run him off?
Right.
Worst stand-in ever.
But yeah, I mean, it did well enough for me to, make it mostly believable, at least in the story, and visually, I thought it was great. I mean, there were a few little instances, but
we're all totally screwed. So just any video evidence you see, and the crazies are gonna forever. We're done. No. I saw a video that Obama did this to a it's just like where technology is rapidly. You saw in 1 year what it went like, how much better they got at it.
Well, they had hired that YouTube guy 6 or 9 months ago.
Yeah, the guy that did better than them the first time.
Right. So they put him on the payroll, and I guess said, make it as good as you can. And I thought it was pretty good.
It cracks me up whenever you see anything online that people doing the face thing. It's always Tom Cruise. They're always like, it just seems like every time they're like, look, Tom Cruise was doing this. Tom Cruise was it's like, do somebody else. All that deep fake stuff is scary.
Yes, because like you said, now they can gotten to the point where we can make anybody say anything.
And there's too many dummies out there that will just believe everything.
Yeah, I mean, we've already, objective reality has gone out the window already.
Yeah.
Now, if there's visual evidence, like, how are you going to convince anyone of anything?
Right.
Anyway, back to this.
So what did that do for you, seeing Luke and a young Grogu training? We had the trainer droid, the remote, the backpack. Where did that hit you in the nostalgia?
It did. I mean, honestly, it did. I was just like, I was more stunned they were doing it more than I was like just loving. I wasn't like thinking this is great, this is what I want desperately. It was more like, wow, they were just going for it. Like, not at all what I was thinking I was going to see. Like, if I thought I was going to see Luke, I would think I would see the amount I saw the previous year. I didn't think I would see so much action.
And it shouldn't. The show ended. Oh, he's gonna go train with Luke. Cool. And like, whoa, we're getting footage of him training with Luke.
Yeah, you never would think you were going to see that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Cooper and I we were talking about it. We were painting today and this afternoon, and we were kind of talking about, just how the show wasn't the best thing. The Book of Boba Fett wasn't the best thing in the world, but it, or Filoni at least, or whoever, has done a really good job with this, The Mandalorian and the show, of incorporating, the larger stories all together. And I know Jordan, that's not his favorite thing all the time, that everything has to connect to something. But Cooper and I were talking about, like, they've taken Luke Skywalker, that I grew up with. They've taken Ahsoka Tano that he grew up with, and now in the same episode or the same scene we have Grogu, who is, the kids are all focused on, he's the big new thing with the young kids now, and they've put them all together, which is kind of a neat thing that Filoni's done, and just and connecting the different eras together, but making it a one solid story, and giving us everybody going crazy over these little one-liners that they put out there, but if nothing else, it's done that for me.
I was having similar thoughts, because I heard somebody refer to it as the Marvelization of Star Wars, where one thing leads to the next and everything's tied together. And I was thinking, like, I have no problem with that, with the Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. More continuity, cameos, throw it in, all that. Like, I'm all for that. And I don't care if, the guy next to me understands what's going on. So, like, I can see if you're as into Star Wars as I am into Marvel, I get that's where you are. And, like, yes, let's make everything a tight bundle of continuity and everything. But, like, to me, it was like, I was just kind of enjoying this show about this cowboy going from downtown doing stuff. It's like, now I got to learn what all this is, and I got to we got to tie back to the prequels and the cartoons and the future movies and all this other stuff. So, like, yeah, I get it. I get where my, it's they're I don't know that they're doing something wrong, but it's just like, oh, I was kind of enjoying the other thing. Now it seems to be a different thing, which is the mainstream thing that everyone's doing. So I guess I'm the one out of step. It's not it's not the show doing it.
Well, they partly a few years ago they started to do something a little different when they were like, oh, we're going to do the Star Wars story movies. They did Solo. I really enjoyed Solo. It was attached, but loosely attached to everything else in a way. And the same thing with Rogue One. I love Rogue One. Even if it's kind of a mess, I just really enjoy watching that movie. So they kind of started doing that, where things were loosely, there were some characters in there, but it wasn't real tight together. And then with the Disney Plus shows, they've went and kind of gotten away from that a little bit. Now they're tightening everything up a little bit more. But I think that's partly
a really strong show. Ahsoka can show up, or Cad Bane can walk in, and the fans can flip out and be like, yes, this is a payoff to something I've loved for years, or it can make sense to someone who's just now watching this for the first time.
Right.
So, like, and that's where I'm not sure if it's 100% succeeding. I feel like I'm missing something. And I feel like Marvel does a pretty good job. The fans love this guy and this guy and that guy. They may not know how it all ties together, but there's still and maybe that's Star Wars a little more complicated. Marvel maybe simplifies it. I don't know.
Anyway. So what happened? We're going pretty slow through this episode.
Yeah. So we get Yoda backpack.
Run, I can be a backpack while you run, jump and stop.
Scene Luke running through the forest, doing the same, the same movements, the same flips and all that.
He still have to do all the work though. He's
still gonna do all the work.
Looked like Luke was training again.
But then, well, yeah, that's true. But then we also get him, that whole jumping thing, which is more, I guess, is more of a like Luke said, it's not so much training him, it's just reminding him of what he's already.
What's that supposed to mean? Why do we think he's been trained before?
Because the character is 50 years old. Grogu is 50 years old.
I know that, but we never were led to believe he knew anything before.
Well, I think that's
this flashback we got this episode, right? That Order 66 and all that stuff. What does that mean?
Well,
he was being trained at some point.
Yeah, he was at the Jedi Temple. So,
that part was very definitely to tie him to Din Djarin again. Like they both have the same like origin of being the baby. When the big attack happened and somebody saved him, so who's supposed to have saved him then?
We don't know.
I'm asking who you think.
I really don't know, because I've heard several names, different Jedi names, but as far as I know, it was that old lady librarian swooped in and snatched up his backpack, because he looked like he was in a backpack then too. So
could it be Yaddle?
Yeah, right.
Is this how we work Yaddle in?
That's the payoff we all want.
I don't know.
But yeah, so anyways.
So at this point, this is post Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Luke rescued his father, stopped the Empire, but he's still teaching the old ways. He's still Old Testament Luke about don't form attachments. You don't worry that I have a sister and all these friends that I love, and I redeem my father and save the galaxy through love of family. You shouldn't love anyone. Like, it was a weird.
Well, wait, or is that a test? Did he pass the test ultimately by choosing his friends just like Luke did? Eh?
So you think he might be showing one way, showing the.
Yeah, I mean that would be very Yoda-ish.
Yeah.
Of Luke to teach some weird counter to what you think the message is, trying to get you to make the right decision.
I guess you can read if you've watched the sequel trilogy and all this and still love Luke, I guess you can read it that way. Or if you feel like they've ruined Luke, they've destroyed my Luke, but you might read it the other way. So yeah,
I love my Luke. I think that I'm sure I've said it too over the years, like where I love the Mandalorian and how it was just this one story for a while, but I like all this stuff, and they've got Skywalkers have a stranglehold on Star Wars, and I'm fine with that. That's my Star Wars, you know. So I like when they get away from it sometimes, but
I'm the same. I like it either way.
I don't like when it is just ooh. I've seen that before, but I do like when they tie in, like you're saying. I liked it with Marvel. I like it with this when they tie in these things that I paid that I spent hours and hours watching the Clone Wars and watching Rebels and all this. I'm ready for my payoffs.
Right.
I'm ready for that Ahsoka series. I want some Thrawn and Ezra and all that, So.
Me too.
So anyway.
So we go through all of that. We get the nice little, Ahsoka throws that line out. Oh, just like your father. Luke says, oh, Grogu doesn't have his, he fears he doesn't have his heart in it.
You've taught him well.
It's more like he's remembering than I'm actually teaching him anything.
Sometimes the student guides the master.
The Mandalorian was here.
As I told you, the two share a strong bond. And you brought him a gift.
Sometimes I wonder if his heart is in it.
So much like your father.
What should I do about him?
Trust your instincts.
Will I see you again?
Perhaps. May the force be with you.
Which, that pretty much told me right there that, okay, this is probably, he's probably not going to stay with the Jedi. Mando season 3 is Disney's not gonna they're not gonna lose their cash cow, not yet anyways. But yeah, so we get that, and then really, I mean, it's just a big payoff that on that planet, at least, that he makes him choose. Din Djarin has shown up. He's brought his little chainmail shirt with him to give to him, and kind of sad there for a second, because when he tells Ahsoka, he says, "Oh, I've come all this way. He's right there. I can see him." And she says, "No, don't bother him, or don't interfere. It could deter his training or whatever." But yeah, I mean, I was really excited about it. Then we go back to Tatooine, and
did you have any compulsion of like that? You earned Yoda's saber. Like, that's Yoda is a Jedi, a legendary Jedi master. Just because
who else is going to use that little thing?
I literally just met you, and you're kind of a turd. And like, I'm gonna trust you with this like iconic piece of weaponry. It's like,
yeah,
I guess it would be pretty tiny.
Headline: Jordan hates Baby Yoda.
He's notoriously difficult.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and it was a little strange that the way it unfolded there at the end, because him forcing him to make a choice, forcing Grogu to
it was so sad. That poor baby had to choose.
Yeah. And
I was struck in that moment of like, wow, what do I want to see? And like, my brain can say, well, for the show to continue, he has to pick the shirt and go,
right.
Like, mental or intellectually, I knew what was probably going to happen, but it's like, what would I want for this? Should he follow Luke and unlock his potential, or would he have a better life, going to his papa?
And if he doesn't choose the Jedi, is this the last time we see Luke Skywalker? But I joked about it with you guys on the messenger about only Sith deal in absolute choices, and that's kind of what he was doing there. Him or me.
Yeah, again, something not very Jedi like, but
right.
I can see where it could be he was manipulated, or nudging him in the one direction.
So anyways, Din goes back to Tatooine, and he has to tells Boba Fett that the people of Freetown are gonna fight with him or whatever, but
no more exciting people than the people of Freetown.
Right. So
I've always said that.
I honestly, I didn't expect to see Cobb Vanth again.
I did, because there had been people talking about how he was on a late night talk show a few months ago, and he had his Cobb Vanth hairdo, and beard, and whatever, and so I knew it was coming, and which is great. I want a Cobb Vanth show. Like, yeah. I mean, that's way up my alley, and then so this was great. I hated the deputy, even though you knew right. I mean, we've put in our time watching enough TV and movies over the years. You knew what the purpose of this guy was.
Squirrely deputy.
Yeah, it's just like I hated that guy, but I was like, he is not long for this world.
So that was kind of the cold open at the beginning. Was Timothy Oliphant as Vanth coming in?
Amazing!
Getting that ice cream maker.
Yep.
Credits. Fistful of dollars, ice cream machine full of credits.
When he, and the whole think about it. The last guy, you're smarter than the rest of them, but telling him that spice was worth more than his whole town or whatever, and it's like, well, I guess I'll get rich or whatever, and he takes off, and then I was telling this to Jordan when I stopped the store. My favorite moment of the whole episode is when he kicks that spice over and lets it blow away in the wind. That is so badass. I just loved that, and especially like it would have been far smarter to do it while the guy was still there and to like show, hey, don't come back because there's nothing here for you. I've already dumped your spice. Yeah. But he's just like, it was almost like, I don't even need you to know. It's to show that he's dumping it when he could get away with it. Timothy Oliphant's just great. And I'm
very entertaining.
Having seen what I've seen this season, man, I wish he just still had Boba Fett's armor. That would be way better than Boba Fett. Boba Fett doesn't deserve his own armor.
He's way too skinny for that armor, and Boba's a little too big for it. So
yeah. We need to.
I'll tell you what. I texted Nick after I watched this episode. He had not watched the first 4 episodes. And then when the 5th happened, I was like, you need to watch that. And he did. He's like, he liked it. I was like, and then after watching this episode, I said, you need to watch this episode as soon as possible. Do not get spoiled.
Right.
And he was like, okay. And I said, you will know. You will know why I'm saying this when it happens. And he watched it. He's like, we were talking about it a couple days ago. He's like, I knew the whole time he would be thinking, oh, what? Luke Skywalker there? Big whoop. oh, he's training with Baby Yoda? Yeah, wow. Oh, they're building a temple? Is this it, Dad? Is this what? I know that's running through his mind the whole time. What does Dad think is so cool? And he's like, I did. And he's like, but then I knew when that duster off in the distance flapped in the wind, he knew right away it was because of Cad Bane. And he was like, I just yelled, holy shit, it's Cad Bane. That's Cad Bane's music.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Pretty great.
That's my, that's my guy. And so for one episode, I got to love it.
Yeah.
He shows up and they just look great. I was like, thought of all the possibilities. Really setting up my disappointment with the finale, but it was just
was the voice like the same voice actor? Was it close?
Yeah, I think it was the same. It was the same guy, same voice actor, different actor, betraying him there. But the face, I was like, neither one of these guys is going to die. And then I was like, okay, step up, Fife. Deputy Fife, this is your moment to take the brunt of this. We got the big face off. It's totally set up. The whole point was to be like, nobody is as fast as Cobb Vanth. Okay, they set that up at the beginning. Well, so we can show just how great Cad Bane is, and
even as like faster. An old man. Yeah,
he's even faster, and so that was all great. Loved it.
So he tells him Tatooine belongs to the Syndicate.
A Syndicate.
And then the Syndicate blows up that bar.
The Sanctuary.
And that just to show that Tatooine belongs to them. So I think that's about where we ended, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of speculation of whether or not Max Rebo made it.
Oh yeah, he's behind the whole thing. If you ask him, it's like whatever. What?
Yeah, they could have had like a post-credits thing of him dragging his piano out the back door.
We need to know. Did he survive? We don't care about any of those Twi'leks, but did Max make it or not?
So like, yeah, like a lot of stuff in this series, like it just sort of happened fast and now it's over. Like, and Jennifer Beals didn't really do very much, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we get to this final episode, and we're like, what is going to happen? You know, there's got to be this big face off, and that was it. It was all face off.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This true. Was so so we've had 2 episodes where Boba Fett is barely in his own show. So now it's like, okay, now we got to get. He's really gonna
back on track.
Everything. So this was a full hour finale. I figured it might even be a little longer, but directed by Robert Rodriguez again.
Who can retire from directing Star Wars stuff? Please. The worst shows of the season he did.
Yep.
He's not good at this anymore. Leave.
Yeah, and I agree. He's really,
it's like some things happen that on paper sound great,
amazing, yeah,
and then but the execution, it's like, what? Why is this guy spinning around like an idiot? What are you doing?
Yeah, as far as even all the people that have directed the Mandalorian episodes, he's the only one that I've been like, nope, you're not. You shouldn't be doing this. I mean, everybody else has been great.
He was in charge of the great slowest chase in ever seen.
Yeah.
Ugh. Puke. Anyway, we don't need to. What do you want to say about this episode? There's a big battle.
This one, like, it kind of before everything blows up, Cad Bane and Fett face off.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming there has to be some history in the animation and stuff.
Yes,
but
there is definitely.
There's hints of like, he calls him an old man, or you used to be real hardcore, that kind of thing. So like, yeah, here's someone who knew Boba Fett before all this, but then he tells him that the Pikes killed the Tuskens and framed the biker, and like I didn't quite get. I guess maybe he was just trying to poke him and see what he'd do, or whatever. But like, he works for the Syndicate, right? So he's like, like, yeah, by the way, the Syndicate did all that stuff. So I didn't. I mean, Boba Fett needed that information, but I didn't get why Cad Bane was just told him.
Cad's his own guy. He's not scared of the Syndicate, so he can say whatever he wants. But that character is he's not scared of anybody.
No, and yeah, through the Clone Wars, the animation, there is a history, quite a long history between Boba Fett and Cad Bane. There's a history with the Bad Batch between Fennec and Cad Bane. We know, that they know each other. So that was kind of interesting. And then
that's my thought of like, there's so much history. Did you waste him and just having him in a few minutes of 2 episodes?
Yes. And then, I mean, I get the whole point is they've faced off, but now, Boba has, first off, it's like adopted this new town or wherever, this new home. He's rebirthed here. This is his home now. And I'm taking you out in a new way, with a new weapon I've learned how to use that you're not expecting from me. That's how he takes him out. But the biggest thing I had talked to Jordan before about is I really think that they thought they could do no wrong with Boba Fett. That Boba Fett was so loved, and this is true, so cool and loved that they couldn't screw him up. People are any fans of Boba Fett are gonna love anything Boba Fett does, and like they found a way to make him not cool, to make him old and fat and not fun, too focused on being a goody guy.
What's the galaxy's version of hold my beer?
Yeah.
Hold my blue milk.
Exactly. Hold my milk. And then they just messed him up to not be the guy that we fell in love with. And then they thought anything he does is going to be cool. He can kill Cad Bane and people will love Boba Fett. It's like, no, Cad Bane is way cooler than Boba Fett now. And I hate that you just squished him with like a bug by Boba Fett. He didn't deserve that. I hated it. I was just like, Boba Fett. They just think that they thought that moment was going to go over way better than nobody thinks that was cool.
I never had the fascination with the character that other Star Wars fans did. I never felt the attachment to the character that other fans had for 40 years.
I think a little bit of it. Well, I don't know. I won't say that because there's a lot of younger people that like him, but I know it has to do with how old you are. You're a return. You were the age for return.
Yeah.
And I was,
yeah, you were.
I was, Star Wars and Empire.
Right.
So, but I don't know.
But I don't know. I always thought he was a cool character, but he just wasn't in the movie that much. He had a couple lines. And
that's just it, though. That's what ticks me off is you're right. There's just the reason he's so loved is because
mystique.
It's the mystery.
Yeah, it's the mystique. Yeah. There's nothing bad. And so they get this
when you see him lumbering around in his long underwear, there's no mystique left.
Exactly. It's like what they had this chance to finally show, they're like, we're gonna show what he is. And they screwed it up. They did not do what anybody wanted. It's like, oh, you guys freaking had your chance and blew it. I went into Asylum this week. I was talking to him, but I was like, I ordered, it's like War of the Bounty Hunters is omnibus was announced. I was like, I need good Boba Fett again. I need to do a Boba Fett cleanse here and order that. I need good stuff.
But I guess
this is not.
There were parts in the show that I really, that varied more on that mysterious badass bounty hunter character. We'd see I think it was more aggravating because we saw little snippets of that.
Him flying Slave One down and blasting all those bikers. That's right. Boba Fett.
But even like him and the Mandalorian on their jetpacks coming out firing, on the Syndicate was like, that's awesome.
That's cool. Except by now I know who's in there. It's fat Boba Fett that is like not cool anymore.
But
loves animals though. Save the cat.
Yeah.
Gotta. We did this stupid thing where we thought not only is he cool with Mystique, he's also loves animals. It's like, shut up.
I feel like the broad strokes worked, and whoever like outlined this were like, yeah, he'll be, he'll almost die, and then he'll meet these Tuskens, and then he'll change his ways, but he's still cool. Like the broad strokes all work, but just like the macro works with the micro stuff. Yeah. The individual scenes just weren't compelling. And I saw some people asking, like, again, we've said, what does he want to be the boss of this nowhere town, that if that ever made sense. But like, why is he a crime boss who doesn't want to ever do crimes? Like I saw someone say, like, why didn't he just become mayor? He get the corrupt mayor out of there. It's like, I'm gonna take care of these people.
Did you guys catch the mayor's name?
Yeah, Mayor McCheese.
That's his freaking name. Love it.
Yeah.
It's like, also, okay, Boba Fett, that shot of him on the throne in Jabba's palace, that's like, that sets you off, and that sets your brain like, here's what this is going to be, and the show never lived up to that image. It's like, he was never a crime boss, he was never, he just was nothing happened that they tried to set up. It feels like.
I think what ruined Boba Fett was Jango Fett.
The Mandalorian. The Jango Fett and the Mandalorian are both cooler.
I don't think Jango Fett's cool though. I never did.
Double pistols.
Yeah, I never.
Heck yeah, he's cool. He's cool, man.
I never like when he showed up and you found out that's what that's what Boba Fett looks like. Yeah. I never liked any of that.
Wow, you hate Star Wars.
I hate the prequels.
That's one of the best parts of the prequels is Jango Fett. Man, everybody loved that character. Went on play the Star Wars bounty hunter was awesome. I loved that game. It's like I always loved Boba Fett more because the mystique, but I love that story. That's what the stormtroopers are based on is him, and that's all just perfectly folds together.
But see, it's funny because if you ever ask me what's the good parts about the prequel, I have no idea what I would say.
I would say that. I would say that's what I liked is that they came up with the clones are cloned on the coolest guy.
It's taken me.
That's already like cashing in on who is the coolest guy. What's Boba Fett? Okay, well, we better tie that in. Like you got to give him more central to the story. Like I feel like they already cashed in a lot of his cachet for the prequels
the right
now
way.
It's like we got to keep wringing that out and see what's left of it.
Anyway, there was a big fight. There was a Rancor. There was some big destroyer droids.
And that was all fine. I liked the action.
Yeah.
It was good.
I did too.
King Kong Rancor.
Yeah.
Chekhov's Rancor. We got
Rancor smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Grogu pulls up, got his learner's permit for the X-Wing, pulls in.
Yep. Wearing his chainmail.
Wearing the shirt. He pulls the shirt down. It's like, so yeah, it was, everything was set up to be a payoff and great fun. And like, again, all the little pieces I liked, but yeah, I just sort of, okay. You kind of saw where it was all coming. And they showed every single previously on, they showed them that scene of like, now you're going to stay neutral, right? Sure, we will. It's like, well, why do you keep showing that? Why?
Right.
Why is that important? Oh, because you're gonna my sudden but inevitable betrayal is going.
Right.
Yes.
Nothing was more disappointing in the whole episode than who's gonna show up and save the day. Oh, we can't wait. Who's gonna show up? Here they come. Here they come. The free people or whatever. It's like who freaking cares? We're like expecting any character. Anything other than a bunch of nobodies. It's like, ugh.
Well, it could have been okay if it was a bunch of nobodies, if it would have been a bunch of.
Yeah, but it seemed like very small.
It's a carload of them. Yeah. It's like, here comes Biff and three other guys.
Pull up in the van. Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
But yeah, it didn't seem like the Syndicate didn't even seem like a huge threat. They just, it was only, 2 carloads of them.
Yeah, right.
Ugh.
Yeah, so
Horatio Sands and a carload of schmucks pull up, and I'm like, "What is happening? This is it. This is the big."
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There was some disappointment there, but I thought the Rancor stuff. I knew what he was doing. I knew it was going to be awesome, and I was just like, "Yeah, that was great." But these stupid people, at some point, they even like stop firing their guns. They're just hiding behind a wall. That's all they're doing.
Those were like the deadliest droids I've ever seen in a Star Wars thing. Of like, a Rancor. It took a Rancor, a dark saber, the Force, a whole carload of townspeople. Like, it took a whole lot of firepower to bring them down, barely. And it was funny, like they were so slow moving, and every time they'd cut back and they're like running, it's like, oh, it's right behind us. So, again, the pacing was a little odd on that, but
great directing, Rodriguez.
Yeah. So all that happens, and
but yeah, that whole time, at some point, I wrote in my notes, "Where's Finnick? She has disappeared for this whole last fight." So she got a cool kind of payoff at the end, but it's like, again, I don't understand why she had to do that right then when her firepower could have been appreciated. But I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it wasn't the best thing in the world, but I was like, it was good enough. It was, about on pace with the series. So there was, as a whole, the series as a whole, I thought that it had some really high points, and a lot of it was just kind of like, okay, we're going through the motions here.
I did like the stinger there at the end. We get to know Cobb Vanth is gonna get some sort of mod and come back.
Thundercat's gonna hook him up.
Vanth Refrigeration.
Wow, how long have you been holding on to that one?
I feel somebody else has said that. I didn't come up with that. I'm sure I heard that. Cobb Vanth Refrigeration.
And that makes me think they came up with that. That's why they named it that.
Yeah.
Cobb Vanth.
So my favorite part of this episode, I told you guys earlier, was when they hit the rickshaw and Mando's on the rickshaw with Baby Yoda and what's her name? I can never remember. It starts with P.
Amy.
I see Pepita.
It's not Pepitas.
Well, it's not Pepitas, but the character.
Something like that.
Yeah. So when they flip over and she gets up and she spits out that tooth and picks up her it's like a Jawa gun that she's using and starts firing. I was just like, I love her.
Yeah, she's good.
She's awesome.
And that scene got us the very gifable hug between, Grogu jumps up and hugs Mando. It's like, there, that's what the people want to see. That's what we're here for.
So,
and yet I'm still excited for more stuff. Give me some. I can't boy. What's going to be funny, I hope. First off, they announced, Kenobi's coming out here in May
25th.
And but did the poster have to be more sand? Did we have to be like, oh boy, Tatooine? We never see enough Tatooine. Yeah. But I'm really holding out hope that that series is like everywhere but Tatooine.
Yeah,
like I don't expect him to hang out there like we thought he was the whole time watching Luke. I think he's off gallivanting around the galaxy.
I certainly hope so too, just because I've had my fill of Tusken Raiders and
totally.
I mean,
do something else. There's a whole galaxy out there,
right?
I mean, really, it's getting old.
Yeah,
I feel like honestly, it feels like extremely lazy what they've done with staying on Tatooine.
Yeah,
and I'm about fed up with it.
So yeah, I've certainly I've had my share of it. As far as
they've
Kenobi
got this
goes,
freaking screen, they showed us all that technology. They can just be anywhere, do anything, and they won't. That's couldn't have showed us.
We know that Anakin is going to be featured in the Kenobi series in flashback, so I have to assume they will be off on different planets throughout the series, at least in flashback form, kind of giving us more of their adventures from back in the day. Maybe we'll see some stuff we saw in the animated Clone Wars that we'll get.
There's a whole moon full of Ewoks out there you're wasting. Come on, get to it. There's Kashikis. We got a whole planet of Kashikis.
Yes, we need more Wookiees than just one gladiator Wookiee. So, I don't know. We got the Ahsoka series coming. Kenobi's coming. Mando season 3 is coming also. So, I mean, it's far from over.
So we may be closing the Book of Boba Fett, but there's plenty more story to tell. Again, it was still an hour of Star Wars stuff every week, and there wasn't an episode that I disliked
we're being picky.
Yeah, so so I just feel the Mandalorian was raised the bar so high that this couldn't help but feel like a letdown at some point. But I feel like we can rebound and have even better stuff to come. That's my hope.
That's right.
So all right, that's it. We did it.
All right. That is it for now. And a galaxy. How do the movies always end? Oh, like directed by George Lucas. No, never mind. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's music that we don't own the rights to. Okay, goodbye, everybody. My name is Jordan Love.
Cliff Barnes.
Seth, goodbye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.